Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Lori. That was a great job. And just for those of you who don't know Lori, we wouldn't exist without her. She's well, Kevin McNeil says she's a bulldog. She probably doesn't like that, but when she gets her teeth into a project, by God, it's not gonna languish. It's not gonna go away. So she's the whole heart and soul of this organization. I don't know how I got started in it, except that somebody called up and said, did I want to? Well, we actually started right here, and I think it was Gary that invited us all. And we sat in a big old horseshoe, and we had about 50 people here, and they dropped by the wayside. But the idea caught my attention right away because I'm one of those people that grew up, near the water, but I didn't have, my folks didn't have a boat, and we didn't belong to any boat clubs or anything like that. But the first time I got in a boat, I felt like this is me, and I mean that's the way it works. Some people just naturally cleave to it, and some people don't. But if you don't have the opportunity, you never hear the little waves lapping at the bow when you're either rowing or paddling or sailing. I mean, the first time you hoist a sail and feel that water start to glide by, it's either going to stir you or it isn't. But for those that it does stir, you want to give them that opportunity. You want to give them a chance. So the idea was there. How are we going to do this? Well, there are programs, community boating programs in Newport, in Boston, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in Baltimore, the Baltimore's downtown sailing center and so forth. We knew that they existed elsewhere, and the question was, why in the world do they not exist in America's sailing capital, as I like to call our town, so that I can drive people from Newport crazy. It really is pretty funny. I actually sent Stuart Struley, who's the editor of Sailing World, a note the other day and said, you ought to come down and visit me. I'll show you around Annapolis sailing capital, America's sailing capital. And he wrote me back and said, why would I do that? I already live there. So that's the way they are. Anyway, we had no idea what we were doing then. I know Lori had a vision, but we all had a kind of a vision, and nobody knew quite what to do. Lori, I think it was, who came up with the idea of having free sailing out of the city dock on our first year, which was last year. So she sort of pioneered the idea, and we got a bunch of people together and boats together. We had Don Backey from Crab and some people from Box of Rain and other groups that helped us line up some boats. And we had 3 or 4 meetings at which we decided that we would, throw these Sunday free sails, 4-hour sailing, free sailing sessions out of City Dock. And we had several meetings on it, at every one of which I said, this is great, this is fantastic, but how are we going to get the people? And there was, I thought, really no strategy for getting people to show up. So I imagined us with these boats and instructors and happy people waiting around and nobody showing up. Well, by great good fortune, and we are lucky, the first April, the plan was to run these from April to July, and the first April day was April 18th or something. And you know how bad the weather can be around here in April, but it was a perfect spring day. And Lori managed to sign up 18 or 20 people to come down, and we went out and had the most wonderful sail. It was just the perfect day on Chesapeake, 10 knots, 12 knots of breeze, nice happy people, sunshine. And those 20 people went back, and they must have called everybody they knew, because we never had an empty seat for the rest of the season. And our season, which was supposed to end in July, was extended to October, and we added Thursdays, 5 or 6 Thursdays through the course of the season, just to take care of people that couldn't get aboard on Sundays. So the thing was just a colossal success. And of course, halfway through I was thinking, well, why was I worried? But really, you wonder how these things are going to work out. And in this instance, what it showed me and everybody else involved was that there was a tremendous desire for people to get out on the water on boats. So that was, question 1 was answered. We had the need. We had to, we had a strategy. So from that point forward. We expanded. We acquired a fleet of boats through a program where they give you these boats if you'll take some kids out. We had to take 68 kids out for 1 week program. So we do 2 1-week programs for 34 people, 34 kids to teach them basic boating. They go in kayaks, canoes, little sailboats, and little power boats. That's called the Spirit of America program. We had Boys and Girls Clubs for a week-long program. And what was the other ones? What am I leaving out? We had the match racing. We did a match racing program for high school kids in the fall. Every one of them was full. And we didn't charge anybody for any of them. And we had an amazing array of people to come who were not, just your standard, we didn't have to drag them off the street. We had grandmothers and grandchildren. I had a guy, I just was talking to Dave Houck here, who sent a guy down, James Ferguson and his wife. That guy was a Stanford graduate who played 5 years for the Minnesota Vikings. And Houck just told me, he talked to him last week, and the guy's getting ready to buy a boat. Well, I can tell you, he was terrified of the water. He was the biggest strappingest guy, and he and his wife, they wanted all the knots checked on their life jackets or one thing or another. And then I have some other people here that I didn't know they were coming, but friends of my wife's sister from Kansas City, Kate and Travis, and they brought 3 kids down here. They're from Kansas City, and they're here today to find out how they can do something else. So they were attracted enough by their experience of 4 hours on the bay that they want to do something else. So they thought by coming here they could talk us into taking them out again, but we're not going to do it.